This is Dave Meltzer with Entrepreneurs, the Playbook, and I have an old friend from afar. I've watched his career develop from Under Armour on, and now he's with an incredible organization. He's the CEO of Equinox Media, Jason LaRose. Welcome to the Playbook.
Hi, Dave. Thanks for having me.
Well, it's so amazing because things accelerate so quickly that we can go from traditional careers into it's almost like a virtual career, but it has so much more potential and so much more value and so much more impact than, selling a pair of Under Armour shoes or a skin tight shirt. But yet now we have the ability to change lives in an incredible way, but reach billions of people instantly. And I think that's where I see the progression of your career, that you've taken all these skills, all this knowledge of what and who, and applied it to a platform. You guys are launching a new platform on the 7th of October. Give me a little bit of background on the transition in your career of keeping these options open, and how do you go from a traditional career in sports to literally being a CEO of a media company?
Yeah, well, it's certainly an interesting path, and as you point out, our careers aren't always perfectly well mapped, right? But for me, I really started my digital side of the career a good 20 years ago. In my time at McKinsey, we were doing, early e-commerce work and early digital work for retail and consumer brands. Most of that not that relevant these days with how fast the space has moved. But, when I was at Under Armour, I was there originally to lead e-commerce. And then we started to expand into this connected fitness space when I was there, made some acquisitions of a company called MyFitnessPal, which is in San Francisco, a nutrition-based app, and MapMyFitness, which is in Austin, a workout tracking or connected fitness app. And so, getting involved in those businesses and launching a media business is really what got me so excited about the fitness space. But as you say, the core mission at Under Armour is still shirts and shoes, and connected fitness is a little bit on the side. This was a great opportunity to start a platform where the core mission is about fitness and really impacting people's lives from a health standpoint. And it's been great doing that with Equinox Media and our partners here.
What's so funny is I have looked in technology like you. I started in 1992 with legal research online, moved into the handheld space with the first smartphone that I was CEO of. But I always told people it goes from, books into a handheld. Then we had wearables, and then insertables, and then ubiquity creates replaceables. And, with what you're able to do with your platform, it's a ubiquitous solution. And you talk about fitness connected, and we talk about ubiquity, meaning that people anywhere, anytime can have the access that they need to the information, the instruction, product, services, and solutions without really holding anything, even just participating. And it's going to become more and more ubiquitous, more and more interactive via voice, via vision, all of these different things. But it's moving so fast. One of the difficulties or challenges that you face is that historically you've seen 20 years of progress. And now it seems, at least to me, I've been in the game for 30 years. It seems like every week it expands or accelerates as much as it did for, 10 years when I first started. How, as an executive, do you keep up with the pace of accelerated change and technology, especially in relationship to one of the fastest and most exciting fields of fitness?
Yeah, well, it's definitely fast, right? And faster here. Even if I look back to, 2019, we already had 60% of Equinox members who were using some digital fitness app to augment their in real life experiences. Now you see that number only accelerating because we never anticipated that the reason we wouldn't be able to work out as often as we like would be a pandemic, right? We anticipate life getting in the way. And so now you have this forced trial that's happened through COVID-19 that's really accelerating the trend. I think for me in my career, I've been better at really just paying attention to the consumer as opposed to thinking that, I need to sit in a room and figure it all out by myself. So I think in our space, publishing and iterating and really staying close to the consumer and their experiences has been critical. And while some of the early things we started with in media were already tied to the member, other things are happening just in this moment. I mean, we went into COVID with way less than 10% of fitness content was being consumed live. People wanted on demand. None of us wants to wait anymore, right? If our favorite TV show comes on in 4 minutes, we'll watch something on Netflix and we'll come back and watch that later. And that's the way consumers have behaved. Suddenly during COVID, we want those connections, those human components. And so, we've started to launch more live content, and with SoulCycle and Equinox has been super successful. We're seeing, 97% satisfaction rates and things on live content, when only 7 or 8 months ago, very few people were even consuming it. So we've just tried to stay really close to the consumer, and the brands that we partner with are really close to their members as well. And that's helped us, try to keep ahead of the trend, or at least stay on it.
One of the things I like about the content side that is combined with the hardware is that you can handle so many more things that can impact people. So it's not just running and shoes. It's not just biking and SoulCycle. It's meditation, it's yoga, it's nutrition, it's, types of precision analytics that never before could you even come close to getting unless you were a professional athlete, hooked up to 52 nodes. How do you keep up on the content side? Because people do want things on demand and their expectations are so varied today with so much noise. How do you keep up with the types of content and implementing and staying up to date with not only live content, but the on-demand side of seeing the perpetual content that's been recorded?
Well, I mean, the best part is we have a chance to test, right? So we've got our own studios built out. We shoot our own content. We have really high cinematic quality, high production values. And it allows us to test a lot of different things out, whether those are instructors or different modalities or whatever. What's amazing right now is, and you probably know this in your own fitness journey, we don't see our members on the platform using us for only one thing. We don't see them coming and just cycling or just running. Most of us, that's not what we do. That sometimes can even create overuse injuries, or at the very least, it creates a little boredom, right? And so, we like the variety. That's really, what we've tried to build, but we've tried to bring the best of the best into the room when you want to change the channel. So if you want to cycle with SoulCycle. They're the best. It's such a great experience. It'll be great. But then when you want to do strength workouts, you should do strength with Equinox. I mean, who's better at that than these guys? If you want to run with Precision Run. And those things have really helped. We've built this fitness collective that includes the best of the best across the brands. And it means that every time you do change the channel to the next modality, you're getting somebody who's amazing. And when we recommend programs to you, we're seeing people, start to take on things that were never a part of their journeys before. And that's how we keep expanding, how we reach them. And
now, the other thing that's interesting is we both have been involved in the marketing of e-commerce, the marketing of product, services, and solutions on multiple platforms and multiple access, multiple mediums have existed over the last 2 decades. But now, once again, with COVID and the acceleration of change, marketing takes on a whole different face. And you have always been tied to revenue. I think you were the chief revenue officer as well at one time of Under Armour, which I love the combination of a marketing person that is pragmatic enough to be responsible for the bottom line, which is a rarity.
I told my investors like that too.
Good. Give me an idea of the marketing strategy that you have to utilize today because of the pandemic and because of the ubiquity of, having a media platform that's so open-ended in its operating system.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, the marketing side of it for us is really just beginning as we go national with the launch of the SoulCycle bike in all 48 states and the software platform Varus being available nationally. Our original intent, I mean, you want to talk about calling audibles, right? We were intending to launch in Austin at South by Southwest, and we were going to launch with one very small cohort, which was just going to be the Equinox Club members in Austin, to just get a sense of, what they think. I learned long ago in software that publish and iterate is important. So, put it in front of consumers and let them tell you instead of studying it forever in a room is pretty important. They know more than you do. And so that was really the original plan. Then COVID hits. Suddenly, you're closing clubs, members need access. they want something and they're reaching out and saying, I miss these brands. I miss SoulCycle. I miss Equinox. So what was going to be an 8 or a 9 month rollout plan suddenly becomes a 3-week rollout plan to hundreds of thousands of people, which is a very unique situation. But it's been great because we were able to learn so much over this accelerated period of time. And we've done well with the bike and the platform. And so now going nationally is great. But the marketing piece is just beginning. I think the biggest thing is that consumers believe in other consumers more than they believe in celebrities. When you and I were kids and Michael Jordan drank Gatorade, and that was good enough for us, right? But now we're much more likely to actually believe one another. And so the word of mouth matters, and the experiences that you create with people, if they can be compelling enough for them to tell others, it really matters. When I first got in the business, I remember we used to say that a happy customer tells another happy customer or a future customer, and an unhappy customer tells 10. And you said, oh my gosh, that sounds like a lot, right? Now they tell 1 million, right? And so you really just have to deliver compelling experiences to people, because we all have our own individual megaphones and our own platforms now through social media to talk about them. And I think that's what we're really doing, is building compelling experiences and just letting people tell the others that they care about. And that's created a lot of demand and for us, a lot of force to get out there, because we've had a lot of people on this waiting list for months, especially because of COVID.
So interesting, because we talk about, we used to sell to people, and now you absolutely have to sell through them. And if you don't have that perspective of selling through the client, you're going to be in a really deep state of misery. Now, people talk about a new normal. I don't ever think anything's normal. I think that we're always in the flux of uncertainty. I joke around that if anyone out there, I just hit my 3 million downloads. So any of the 3 million people, if any of you know what's going to happen tomorrow, please call me, because I can make billions of dollars. So since I've been alive, I've never believed in certainty of anything. But there is a huge fitness trend of utilizing a platform like Equinox's, and this great thing that you're providing with the best of breed brands, solutions, and content. A lot of people think that everyone's going to, when we're safe and sound with a vaccine or some sort of assurance that we're safe to spread germs again, that everyone's going to dive back into the Equinox gyms. Where do you see the blend of people still staying at home, going to the gym? Is it 50-50? Where do you see the trend evolving to, between the blend of being in a gym to that community to being online in that community for our fitness?
Yeah. Well, look, there was a study last year done by LEK that said that 72% of people who use a fitness app makes them want to work out in real life more. And so, that idea that it's physical or digital just doesn't really resonate with me. I think it's physical and digital. And even as an amateur athlete, I know that about myself. I enjoy those times that we might get to work out together in a group, or we lift together, or we go for a run or whatever. And then sometimes, life gets in the way, and I need to just get a 30-minute sweat in at the end of the day as part of my, meditation before I see the kids, So those things I think have always been a part of it. I don't know exactly where it's going to land, but I'll tell you what's happening for us right now is Equinox members who have our platform are working out 20% more than they did in the previous world when all of the clubs were able to be open. So I think we're just going to see people actually work out more. They may end up with a different proportion of in real life versus, on their own. But I think in the end, we're just going to see people do more because they have access, because the barriers have been removed, that, I won't have the content in my pocket, or I can't find a coach, or those kinds of things. So I'm not so worried about where it lands, but I just know that I miss the physical side of seeing humans. And I think we're seeing that from our members. The clubs and the soul studios and things that have reopened have reopened to great acclaim. The outdoor experiences that have been set up have been oversold. So I believe that humans miss one another. And I think we're going to see a world where digital and physical are just as important as ever. I'm excited to be involved in a world where I don't have to decide for the consumer which way I want you to go. Instead, I just get to deliver these compelling experiences and then allow you to choose what's best for you. And it's one of the great things about partnering up with these awesome brands to build this platform.
Yeah, and it's an extraordinary platform. I'm going to finish up more on the entrepreneurial side of there's so many people not only transitioning within their brand, like you have, but more importantly, they're transitioning in their life. And, there's several things to take into account as an entrepreneur. You're, academically in what I would call, my mom's favorite place, right? The doctor, lawyer, or failure, the great schools of Michigan, right? The second best school to Ohio State, and then in football. I told Jake, who's my PR guy, I said, "Hey, this is great news. No football this year. Finally, you guys won't lose to Ohio State." He's a Michigan guy, but then
it's
Duke.
Okay. We added it. We'll probably still lose, so it's okay.
Yeah, that's okay. And Duke for graduate school, really fine academic institutions, but education has changed completely. And then you've left your options open through a career from McKinsey to Sears to Under Armour, a variety of different places. I love connecting the dots backwards in someone's career when they finally sit in a position that so many people admire, so many people would love to do what you do, and there's no accidents. What advice would you give to people as they get so narrow in their focus that I'm going to go to Michigan, I'm going to go to Duke, I'm going to work for McKinsey, and I'm going to make millions and do this, and they have their whole life set, and then here all of a sudden you're the CEO of something that never was even fathomable when you're in school, that you'd be a head of a media company for fitness, right? So what advice would you give today? Because things are going to change faster. I know that. They're going to accelerate even at a greater pace, which means more opportunities will exist for people that have the right mindset. What advice would you give for that mindset to take advantage of that?
Yeah, well, look, I'd start for you and say that I share the belief that any point somebody says to me, what are you going to be doing in 3 years? Every time in my life, I would have been wrong. So, trying to plan it all out is, a fool's errand for me because it's always changed a bit for sure. Two common themes though, for me in each of the steps, I never certainly knew that this would be the next point in the journey 20 years ago or whatever. But when I reflect on all those different roles, I know that two things have been true for me. One is I always did something that I enjoyed. I think that matters. I don't think that means that I have to work, at a football stadium or something, it just, but it needs to be something that I enjoy with people that I believe in. I think for me, that's the people side has really mattered when I've worked with people that I've trusted and felt like I could learn from. That's been great. And the second thing is I always have given every job I had, everything I have, I never sat in a job and said, well, this job's okay. I'm dreaming about the next one. I was always trying to do great at whatever the job was in front of me, and doing great at the job in front of me is what created the next opportunity every time. And so, this concept, sometimes I talk to people who aren't happy in what they're doing now. So they're not giving it their full effort, but one day if they get the job they want, they promise to give it their full effort. I find that to be a really difficult thing. So, I encourage the younger people who come and ask me those questions to just give it everything and be great at what you are now, because that's what'll kick the next door down.
Absolutely. And what a great piece of advice. I always say the common denominator between all the successful celebrities, athletes, entertainers, entrepreneurs, billionaires that I get to deal with, you were talking about Mr. Blank. He basically said the same thing. You must be what you can be, focusing in on where you are, be happy where you are, angle to something better, have faith that you'll end up somewhere better than that. And you certainly have. Jason LaRose, thank you so much for joining me. Big launch, October 7th. Where can people sign up for the Equinox Media Solutions, et cetera? Where's the best place to go?
Yeah, look, best place is to find us on varis.com. So VARIIS, but you can find us in social media, find us on Equinox, find us on SoulCycle, great opportunity, but all those great brands will be represented. So you'll have ways to get back to us. So we're, excited to make it available to everybody, and great to be with you, Dave. So thanks for making the time.
Well, I'm a big fan, and I'm going to be utilizing the platform as well. So when people see me in better shape, we can all credit Jason for helping me. Thank you so much, Jason LaRose with Dave Meltzer here on Entrepreneurs, the Playbook.